distinguished guests, respected faculty members, and dear students. Welcome to the session 1 of day 1, a special conversation with one of India's most influential contemporary voices in cinema and social advocacy. It is my great pleasure to introduce Ms. Bhumi Satish Pednekkar, an acclaimed actor whose work in film has consistently highlighted powerful narratives of social relevance. Beyond the world of cinema, she is also widely recognized as an entrepreneur, a United Nations advocate, a passionate champion of climate action and environmental sustainability. Through her work and public engagement, Ms. Pednekkar has used her platform to raise awareness about gender equality, environmental responsibility, and the importance of inclusive development. Today's session will provide us with an opportunity to hear her reflections on the intersection of art, social advocacy, climate responsibility, and women's empowerment. To guide this conversation, we are also happy to have with us Professor Gargi Bharadwaj, Associate Professor at Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, and the Director of the Office of Student Life and Cultural Engagement at our university. Professor Bharadwaj has been instrumental in fostering a vibrant culture and intellectual engagement within the university community and will be co-moderating today's session. Without further ado, it is my privilege to hand the mic over to Professor Bharadwaj.
Thank you, Professor Nair, and thank you, all of you, for being here. Thank you to you, Bhumi, if I may call you Bhumi.
Yes, of course.
We've been really looking forward to this conversation. Several of us have followed your career closely. There are, I'm sure, many fans here, including myself. We have sat back, enjoyed the cinema that you have made. We have deeply loved the characters you have played, empathized with them. So I want to begin there. Your film choices, they foreground a kind of very clearly, you are interested in, it seems, women who are negotiating difficult terrains. You're interested and often seen playing women who don't occupy urban mainstream. These are women located outside of the city. They are often women who are not, who are disprivileged in many ways. They are women who are struggling with structural inequalities. So let me begin by asking you, what do you think draws you to these narratives, to these characters?
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for staying back. That has encouraged me to say some hopefully motivational things today in this room. Thank you for your question. I think my journey started with finding who I was. When I was in school, I was bullied. And I did not have an answer to why I was picked on the way I looked. Everything about me was spoken of. But every time I went back home, I was given so much love and confidence. So that inferiority complex actually turned into a superiority complex. And I'm very, very, very thankful to my parents for that. And I think that is the reason I choose the kind of cinema I chose. I realized that I want to be an actor because every time I was on stage in front of a bully, I felt extremely empowered. I felt like you have no power on me, I have the strength, and I'm going to show you the right way of doing things. And cinema makes me feel the same way. Every time I have an opportunity of being a part of a story that is more than just entertainment, I have realized the soft power that we as actors have, and a lot of that has to do with my first few film choices. My first film was Dam Laga Ke Haisha, where I had the opportunity of playing this beautiful character who was constantly picked for the way she looked. There was nothing wrong in her. The character I played was Sandhya. There was nothing wrong with her apart from the fact that she did not fit a certain beauty standard. Who has created these standards? Who has created these norms? It's not us, certainly. She was highly educated. She had a beautiful job. She was doing really well for herself. And I have to tell you, this film is set in the 90s in Haridwar and in Rishikesh. But the only thing that she did not fit was the social structure that people had created around her. She was forced to marry a man, not forced to, it was actually her choice. She came from a very, very empowered environment. She married a man that probably was not as educated as her. There was nothing right with him. He was highly complexed of her and her achievements. But she went ahead and she married him only because he fit a certain beauty standard that people had set up. And Sandhya fought through every stereotype. And I think just doing that film and the kind of response that film had, the fact that I had so many people reach out to me, I felt seen. As a girl who was bullied for being overweight in school, I felt seen through my first film. And that's when I realized that cinema is so powerful, and it'll truly be a disservice to who I am, the girl that, the morals and the values that my parents have given me, if I don't extend my soft power and the fact that I can reach out to so many people. And it'll be a disservice if my art does not have advocacy. It is very, very simple. And that's why I've chosen the films that I've chosen. And I've really seen my other film, Toilet Ek Prem Katha. I did not even realize how big the problem of open defecation in India was, because we had normalized it. We were like, हाँ ये तो होता ही है ना, हमारा देश ऐसा ही है, ये तो होता ही है, पर क्यों होता है? And then came this film that genuinely changed policy, that genuinely changed culture and mindset. So that's the power of cinema, and this is my way of servicing my country, my people, this country that has given me so, so, so much. I say this time and again that I wear my nationality as a badge of honor. And I don't think we have many people today, especially cool millennials, that are doing enough of that. Because I feel like somewhere we've lost our voice. We've lost our identity, and I don't want to do that. I want to continue fighting for that in every way possible.
It's very interesting that you talk about cinema as a medium that can really rally change, social change, and your own filmography is testament to that. But I want to ask you your view on mainstream cinema, and particularly mainstream Hindi cinema that many of us are familiar with.
You're going to
here.
get me into trouble.
No, I promise.
But I'm already in trouble, so it doesn't matter.
I promise not to nudge further, but let me just put it to you. What do you think that mainstream Hindi cinema has done enough to give not only representation, but offer sensitivity and dignity in the way that it represents everyday common women?
No, not at all. And it really, really breaks my heart as a member of the Hindi film fraternity. I feel like we are just not doing enough. You know, when I started my career a decade ago, there was so much hope. There were so many stories, newer characters, newer female arcs that were written. And that happened because we had a lot of women in writing rooms. We had women directing these stories. That's really reduced. Post-pandemic, the only budgets that have been affected have been the ones where there is a woman leading the story. And that is a very, very big problem. If you kind of see what's happening in mainstream Hindi cinema today, you just have masculine toxicity that is being celebrated in every way possible. And I honestly find that boring, because I think we've seen enough of it. And you know what really, really worries me? That there have been a few films, I'm not going to name any, where I've seen a lot of women, they're like, oh my God, he's such a hero. I was like, no, he's a bloody zero. Like, what are we even speaking about? Like, we are not in the dark ages. We've had generations before us that have fought and made sure that we have the space. And all we are doing is, we've gone back so many years. But you know what? It is not just our responsibility. It is also the audience. Every time there is a film that is led by a woman, go watch it. Only then, these are your stories. All girls in this audience today, go watch that cinema, because these are your stories. Only then will there be more of these made, because by the end of it, it's business. Right? We all are doing our bit. We all are trying to create space, but by the end of it, it just comes down to commerce. We are trying to fight it, but it can't be our fight alone. This has to be our fight collectively, right? I've seen a lot of my colleagues, and I can say this very, very proudly, turn down roles. You know, it is so damn tempting to be a part of a 200-300 crore film where you know you're not going to have anything to do but just like stand and chill and just wait in your van, because you'll have an opportunity to be on set and, you know, do your thing, but you're not really contributing to that film in any way. And in many, many ways, every character, every female character in that film has no agency. So it takes a lot to say no, but I see a lot of my colleagues do that today. And I really hope that our narratives change in the future. But as I said, this has to be done collectively.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bhumi, for highlighting the problematics of the way hypermasculinity is being almost celebrated and how it is effectively taking us back as a society. Another important aspect of your public work is you being a climate warrior. So you have consistently spoken about environment and sustainability and climate awareness. My question is, what first made you feel that climate advocacy needs to be a central aspect of your public work?
Honestly, my work around climate started way before I became an actor. I grew up with climate anxiety. I just didn't know that was a thing because nobody really spoke about mental health then. Even today, the conversation isn't just enough. As I became a young adult, I met certain people that were going through something similar, because all of us, obviously, like my generation, I'm 35 now, in school we studied about climate change, but it felt like something that'll happen like बहुत दूर है यार, मतलब मेरे बच्चों के बच्चे देखेंगे ये सब नहीं, ये आज हो रहा है. हम दिल्ली में, मतलब we are very close to the capital, and we already for the past few months have been speaking about how bad the AQI is. We are in a heat wave. This is probably, I spent a lot of time in Delhi, and this has probably been one of the hottest Feb months that I have experienced. Bombay is going through a heat wave right now. So it's our generation that's going to deal with the worst of it. So because I grew up with climate anxiety, I kind of was I was seeking like-minded people. And that's when my work with Climate Warrior started. And obviously I became an actor. And that gave me a great platform to make sure that people realize that climate change is the greatest looming threat that humanity is dealing with. All of y'all are the future, are the present, forget the future generations to come. If you guys don't raise your voice today, there will be no tomorrow for us. और बार बार लोग यही कहते हैं, how are we going to breathe? What are we going to do? There is just no sense. And I am all for development, but it has to happen in a more sustainable way. We need more voices to come up. We need younger people to really become the voice of change in every way possible, because this is your right. Clean air is your right. It is it really amazes me that I have nieces and nephews that now can't play football in the winter because the air is so toxic. I can't go out and walk because the air is so toxic. There are high uranium levels in our water. There is no water left. I recently read a paper that in May, cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, which are our top 5 cities in India, are going to have a massive water shortage. And who gets impacted by this the most? The most vulnerable classes. We will buy our way out of it. And we also have to understand that we are the reason there are certain classes that are dealing with this in the most brutal, brutal way. And that's why I feel so passionately about it, because I still don't think there are enough people that speak about it. 5 years ago, I had the opportunity to go meet our Honorable Prime Minister. I was with a bunch of my colleagues, and we were like, okay, what do we talk to him about? And I was like, we should tell him that, there are some basic core issues around the conversation of climate. And everybody was like, oh my God, please, this is not a real thing. I was like, are you serious? Like, what world is everyone living in? And then obviously the pandemic hit and everybody got scared. And for that 1 year in the pandemic, suddenly you saw nature heal itself. And then what happened? Have you forgotten everything? So I can honestly do a separate session on this, but I'll cut it short. But yes, I am very passionate about everything to do with the environment.
Thank you so much for that response. And thank you for all that you're doing about this a very important issue. There was a rejoining question. How do you think cinema can help in capturing the popular imagination in raising awareness and promoting conscious measures by all stakeholders, all of us, in addressing the issue of climate change?
Ma'am, in every way, cinema reflects society. If you go into Maharashtra, the state that I belong to, there are parts of Maharashtra that are going to be completely uninhabitable. How do we bring those stories forward? They are in front of us. Look at the kind of mass migration that has happened from rural India into our cities. A lot of them have moved into our cities because they don't have any water to be farmers anymore. They can't take care of their agricultural land because they just don't have access to even clean drinking water. So I feel that it is all of our collective responsibility again, and more so us as the film industry, because I feel like there just isn't any conversation. Even today, small little things, you will see like this rain dance sort of a song happen. It bloody irritates me. I'm like, you are wasting liters and liters and liters of water while there's somebody who doesn't even have access to 1 liter of drinking water. How is that responsible? And these are little fights that I'm always like, I create a lot of trouble. But why shouldn't I? It's not trouble. I'm fighting for my right. I'm fighting for my future. When we speak of cinema and the responsibility that us as filmmakers have, and we have responsibility, I've seen a lot of conversation around people saying that, बहुत ज़्यादा हम film वालों को और cinema वालों को उनके ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा responsibility डालते हैं, पर कैसे नहीं डाले? There are lakhs and lakhs of people. I mean, think of it. You have one superstar that cuts his hair a certain way. There's an entire generation that has the same haircut. So how is it not our responsibility? So I truly hope that we go into Tier 2, Tier 3 city India, and we see how they live. There is a very clear distinction between India and Bharat today. And I see that every day. We are so consumed by the world of social media and everything. All of that is nakli. Kuch asli nahi hai. Everything is manufactured. Everything that you see, like us actors do and, influencers and content, everything is manufactured. So where is the reality? How do we know what a woman living in a village in Maharashtra who has lost her husband, he's probably killed himself because they don't know how to generate any income, and he has like maybe a few 35,000 ka loan on his head, and he can't even repay that. That's maybe a meal for some of us. But there is no empathy left, and cinema creates empathy. This is what art is meant to do. Art is meant to create empathy, to make sure that we create community. And I think it's a great tool, and I really hope that at least I exercise it to the best of my ability.
Thank you, Bhumi. You are in a sense an exception to,
I would like to believe so.
in the profession that you are in, because we don't hear enough of this, and where we hear things, we don't see action following. But I'd just like to backtrack a little bit to your own journey. And I think some of us here will know that before you became an actor, you worked as casting director with Yash Raj Films. And I find it very interesting that, somebody who's been in mainstream Yash Raj will become an actor and will then go on to make the choices that you make. So I'm wondering if you would like to think about how that experience shaped the kind of view of cinema, of the artist. Also, and more importantly, did it help you understand the traditional politics of the Hindi film, of the Indian cinema, its economy, and including the politics of casting? Did it insulate you against?
No, I've still not understood how that game works. Just trust me, and maybe that's why I'm still sane, right? And that's why I have the courage to have strong opinions the way I do. Going back to the first part of your question, I think my years within the casting department was honestly film school for me. Um, I am living my dream, guys. This is all I ever wanted to do. I wanted to be a successful actor across different languages, and I'm going to do that as well. And I'm very open about my ambition and my drive because women are generally told that we should not be that ambitious. And if you are very ambitious, you're very tough. And I am a very tough, ambitious girl, and I'm going to celebrate it through and through. Moving on. So, my years in the casting department, you know, as I told you, I manifested this life. And this opportunity to work behind the camera was also something that the universe gave me. I did not realize what was happening to me. And I did not realize that out of every other department within the world of films, I will go into the casting department. Also, there were no casting directors back then. At Yashraj Studios was the first time there was some sort of structure given to the world of casting. It was so unorganized, no regulations, and thus there was a lot of exploitation. So kudos to them to actually go ahead and create and now there are so many casting directors, there are systems, and thank God for that because that was something that was really needed. The reason my parents were really, really unhappy about me becoming an actor was exactly this, that how are we going to protect our child from the big bad world of the movies? So when this opportunity came my way, I also have to say this. I don't know if it's the most appropriate thing to say. Right before that, I was in film school, but I was suspended because my attendance wasn't very good. However, that blow was something that I took very, very personally. I had taken a student loan. I had about 13 lakh rupees that I had to pay back, which was a very big amount for a 17-year-old child. I did not know how am I going to go through this. My father was in the hospital battling cancer. My parents were very upset with me that I took this decision of like becoming a film actor. And then came this opportunity of somebody that told me that, Yashraj is starting a casting department. And I was very snooty. I was like, Yashraj, I think commercial picture hai karte hain. Mujhe to Anurag Kashyap ke saath kaam karna hai. But clearly he did not open his doors to me. And right before that, I had gone around circulating a CV that had nothing. I had only done my A-levels. I was trying to complete my graduation. And the only other attribute on there was that I was suspended. So nobody really took me seriously. But here came this opportunity and I grabbed it because I was ready for it. And that's when all my learning happened. I am so lucky that I got into the casting department because I cast for 25 different projects. I think they were 25 different projects. I had an opportunity of working with so many different directors. There were days where it was just me or handycam, because handycams were all we had back then with those little tapes, and I would like audition 500 people. So I was queuing them, I was directing them. I got an opportunity to exercise my power of visualization of what that scene should look like. And I think a lot of that experience has contributed into the kind of actor that I have shaped up to be. And I was like all of 17 and 18 and I was told, acha, abhi Bareilly chale jao, abhi Lucknow chale jao. And as a girl, it would make me really, really nervous. But pata nahi kahin se to himmat aati thi. I would just travel alone with my camera, managing a crowd of like thousands of people because, let's face it, everybody wants to give this a shot. Right? Everybody has that little creator in them, that little dream and especially in India where you aren't really like allowed to have a mission like so. But did I understand the ways casting works? No, because I was honestly in a very safe space. I was in a space where for the first time they were trying to do things the right way. Have I understood the politics of the world of cinema? No, but I think that would be true for anybody in any industry, especially with the world evolving so fast. Have I understood that, yes, I don't come from an ecosystem of movies and my journey is going to be different from somebody who comes from that ecosystem? Absolutely. And this is again true for every industry. Because the thing is, it's not in my control, the family that I'm born in, right? But the world of business And the world of arts does not work the same way. You need talent to make sure there is nothing mediocre that happens in the world of art. Just because I'm an actor, I can't suddenly decide that, oh, now I'm going to become a painter unless I have that talent in me. So I think if you come from privilege, it is your duty to make sure that you create equal opportunities, and the opportunities are not equal if you don't come from within the world of films. Because there's nobody here to tell you what failure feels like, and there's nobody here to tell you that you will be bloody alone when you fail. And when you are on your way up, there are going to be so many people that are going to make sure that you turn it into a complete fool, because there are going to be yes men around you. Just people telling you, yes, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best. And suddenly failure hits you, and oh my God, one Friday changes all of that. But then that's when you realize how resilient you are as a person. That's when you realize that you can go through the test of time. That's when you realize that you truly are so, so passionate about what you do. So I think my earlier years, so my first check was 7,000 rupees, and I thought, मैंने दुनिया जीत ली है, कि मतलब I was like, I'm going to do everything. I gave my student loan ka EMI from that 7,000 rupees. I was bawling it. And trust me, today with a lot more in my bank account than that 7,000 rupees, I was a lot happier then, because I'm a corrupt version of who I was when I was 18. I was a lot more brave. I had no inhibitions. And today, just as a modern Indian woman trying to tread the ways and trying to just survive, I feel like there are so many notions within me that I would want to change. And while I was casting, I didn't have any of these fears at all.
So, in a career that is now at least a decade long, having gone through, having been, at the casting end of things, having been on screen, having also been able to step out of it and be able to do all these other things that you do. Do you think now there is a framework, a kind of boundary, both ethical and professional, that you will not cross? Are those set?
I think there was always a framework, and there were always boundaries. And a lot of that also comes from my upbringing. I'm born in a house where our breakfast conversation with my father was actually a GK quiz every day. है ना, रोज हमसे पूछा जाता था, okay, who's the Chief Justice of India? Who's the Chief Minister of the state? You know, what is happening geopolitically? I have seen my mother work her entire life. And you know, when I was younger, I hated it. Because she was not there. She just wasn't present at like an open house, or, you know, she wasn't there every day in the morning to drop us to school. But thank God she wasn't there, because I would not have been the person that I am today. She chose a life for herself, and she taught us the importance of making your own choices. Had she chosen a life which was otherwise, that would have also been okay. But at least I saw what... In my household, we never conformed to any gender norms. For example, and I love sharing this story, my first period story. It is my most favorite thing, because traditionally, you know, it's like the mother who comes and she teaches you everything. In my case, it was my father. So it was I, as a teenager, locked up in the bathroom howling, because I felt like, that's it, I'm going to die. Like, you know, this is it. I'm going to bleed myself to death. And there comes my dad, completely confused, but still trying to keep it together. He gets me like whatever essentials and necessities I need. He prepared me a hot water bottle, and he like started pressing like my feet, and, you know, because I was in pain. And then he threw me a little party, because he celebrated the fact that I was adulting. And I thought that's normal, ऐसे ही तो होता है, but ऐसे नहीं होता है. And that's what I realized when I stepped out into the world. I was like, no, I am so, so, so fortunate. So when you speak of examples, role models, ethics, values, I've always had them, because I just come from a very rock solid ecosystem, and that is also a very big privilege, and I realize that. And that's why I want to make sure that every choice of mine, on screen and off screen, reflects what my value system is, reflects what I believe in. Even though this is a way more corrupted version than the one that was a decade ago, one thing that I've not lost is my morality. And I will not lose it, especially in the world that we are living today. I'm not going to pretend like the world is okay and everything is great. It is not. Yes, things are getting better, but it is not. And we need more people in places of power, constantly reminding people that, hey, it's not. It's probably okay for you because, you are somebody that has a lot of money or an upper caste individual living in this world, but things are actually not okay. And I just want to make sure that I exercise my voice every day to make sure that people are reminded of that.
Thank you. Um, I think I have one last question, and then we'll open up to the audience because I'm sure there are many questions there. But it's amazing that you talk about failure. It's that part of the script that's not always allowed to women, at least not publicly. We are egged on to succeed, to do it all, constantly being told that we can do it all, right? But in how you are talking about your experience, you are saying that there are moments of failure, there are moments of loneliness. And so tell us a little bit about what those experiences have been. And also, in a highly competitive space and industry that you come from, has it been possible to create, a small, safe space of bonhomie, of camaraderie, of friendship, where you can rely on each other?
Listen, the movies, the Hindi film industry is a beautiful place. Okay, there is a lot of sisterhood. There's more sisterhood than brotherhood, let me just put it like that, as there is everywhere. Because ये जो norm है ना कि लड़की लड़की की दुश्मन होती है, bullshit, किसी insecure आदमी ने बहुत साल पहले ये बनाया था. Okay, we as women have shared experiences that nobody would ever even come close to understanding. That's why with all the mansplaining and just like why the female gaze is so, so important. But coming specifically back to your question, my first few films were very, very successful. I mean, I had 8 films that were blockbuster hits. And I did not in any way conform to what a traditional Hindi film heroine is meant to be. And that was kind of my superpower. I gained 40 kgs for my first film. I lost that weight to fit into this other character. And what you said is absolutely right. There's so much pressure because all of us want to be the best bloody version of ourselves because we feel if we aren't that, we aren't going to succeed. Because that's what we are taught. We are taught not to be kind to ourselves. And I think that's something that I've changed over the years. I was so on top of my game. And please don't misunderstand me. You need to do the best you can, but not at the cost of your mental health, not at the cost of your physical health. And as women, we are often just asked to ignore that. I have seen many women around me with a backache, with sciatica, with like gastro issues still going on with their day because they feel that it is their duty to make that meal for their child. Why? It can be out of love, that's fine. But would I, as an individual, today, the person that I am, when I'm in extreme, extreme pain, unless I don't have a choice, do that? No. I am often told this, that, Bhumi, and by boys that I'm courting or dating, I'm going to get very, very candid over here. There's something very masculine about you. Oh, so the masculine parts of me are that I'm ambitious, I'm driven, I'm successful, and I love money, I love power, I love fame. Who has made this masculine? These are like general things that any achiever, irrespective of the gender that you identify with, would want. I'm also very nurturing, I'm also very kind, I'm also very empathetic, but maybe these are things that you can't see or connect with because they are too feminine, and thank God that they are too feminine. When failure hits you, suddenly the phone doesn't ring. And you have to understand that as actors, our lives are very, very dense. They are very, very full. You're constantly with people. There are constantly people telling you you're God's gift to humanity. And suddenly you become human, right? And suddenly you realize that, okay, this journey is going to be a journey of solitude. But I think failure teaches you the most. That's when you realize how resilient you are. That's when you realize how you exercise your belief system and your value system. And that's when your value system kind of kicks in. Because it's in times like those when you are also left with a very important question that am I going to compromise on a value system that I've stuck by for so many years? Am I now going to go do a character that doesn't have agency? बिकॉज ठीक है अभी पिक्चर नहीं चली तो शायद वो अगली वाली एक बहुत बड़े हीरो के साथ है 500 करोड़ करेगी बट माई कैरेक्टर हैज़ नो एजेंसी एंड आई फॉट माई एंटायर लाइफ माई एंटायर फिल्म करियर टू मेक श्योर दैट दैट डजंट हैपन एंड आई थिंक यू आर काइंड ऑफ लाइक थ्रोन विद दीज रियली रियली tough questions, but then just everything that you have grown up with is way stronger than just that temporary period of you failing, and you kind of sail through that. And I think what my failure has genuinely taught me is that even when things are bad, sar niche karo, kaam karo, apna karm karo, and be a bloody good human being. Even when things are great, same cheese, karm karo and be a really good human being. That's all that matters. And yes, I have a great team of people that I can keep going back to, right from my manager who's right here filming me to, I have a group of people that I keep going back to, and my family and my friends. I have the same friends since I was in school. And I have great girlfriends. I could like commit murder and they would still be cheering for me. So film failing is nothing.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bhumi, for your honesty and openness, for being vulnerable, for being your authentic self, for asking the hard questions, for also attempting to answer the hard questions, and your generosity, really. Thank you very much. I think we need many more people like you in the public domain. We wish to see more of you on the screen. Thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for being a wonderful audience.